So you have to really be able to separate the fairy tale from what factually happened. Where are all the celebrity freak off tapes? Where is J-Lo in a room with an underage person? And where are all these salacious things? Meek Mill, French Montana. Where are all these, we thought there were videos of Diddy having his way with other men and blackmailing them. Where are these videos? And he didn't spike the oil. You know, I think we all thought that you put on the oil unknowing that it's spiked with GHP, and then you go into this euphoric state and you do anything he says, and that would be against your will. But all the testimony we've heard is people taking the drugs willingly and knowingly. So it's interesting, just the baby oil alone we were lied to about.
I like this from right here. It's called Lawyered Up. That's his @ name right here. A lawyer for over 20 years, former law school instructor. I enjoy sports, politics, Scrabbles, okay, sharing ideas and other fun stuff. I don't really care to do politics anymore. I'm gonna be fair. Okay, so this right here just caught my eye for whatever reason. Maybe because it's the first thing that popped up. But it says, the judge is technically correct, but did government identify and prove any particular freak-offs that met all elements of X-trafficking, meaning freak-offs knowingly and intentionally induced by force, threat of force, fraud, or coercion? Remember, we brought that up before in the fourth video. Implicated interstate in or foreign commerce, involved in the Commercial X Act, in which someone was paid on account of the X Act. Meaning basically, did y'all pay him with the money right here from this account, specifically stating that this is the X Act? And then what ends up happening is somebody else says, am I correct for thinking this? Sometimes understanding legal jargon can be difficult. Wait, I just noticed the AUSA screwed up big time. They said an X Act doesn't need to occur for it to be X trafficking, and used the Intercontinental Beatdown as an example. But they said a freak off was happening. A X Act, no wonder the judge removed it. Then Lawyered Up says they charged Diddy under the X Act trafficking statute and also under the attempted X Act trafficking statute. So if everything was ready and they taken the substantial step toward the completion of the act, but it didn't complete it, then he could be convicted on the attempt theory. And then it goes a little bit more. So what was Shapiro arguing and won on? Don't really see nothing. But it's like this, right? And I say this all the time, right? Because it goes like to the mindset of conspiracy. Y'all remember Boys in the Hood when Trey got his gun and hopped in the car with Doughboy and everybody, and basically he knew what they were going to do, but Trey decided to hop out the car? He's like, yo, let me out, let me out. Technically, Trey had already committed a crime of conspiracy to commit murder. Some of y'all may not know that, but go holler at a lawyer. Once he hopped in that car, especially with his firearm, knowing, fully aware of what they were going to do, even though he hopped out, he technically broke the law. But hey, let's get it rolling. This right here is part of the reason why you have your $1 million lawyers. Because, bruh, they went to bat and were swinging swords like it was medieval fighting. All these phrases and stuff like that and everything. Let's get into it. Day 30. Damn, it's been a month. Okay. U.S. versus Sean Combs, day 30. The charge conference after U.S. letter says some theories of liability are no longer being pursued. That means charges are dropped. For those who were mad at me yesterday, because y'all didn't hear it from whoever y'all didn't hear it. I don't sleep, so I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. This charge conference was supposed to be at noon, then moved to 2 p.m. Not still begun as of 2:20 p.m. Sean Combs is sitting at the defense table. Next to him, his lawyer, Xavier Donaldson, speaks to judge's courtroom deputy. There's talk of more delay. Okay. 3:07 p.m. They start up. Judge, sorry for the delays, but there was full on constitutional challenge. Pardon me. So, okay. Combs, Alexander Shapiro. Can we have another hour? Judge, I'm happy to give you that time. Shapiro, I'm sorry. Half an hour would be sufficient. Break to 3:45. They're back at 3:49. Judge Subramanian. Be seated. Okay, so we resolved the verdict form. So let's go through the charge on page 1. Any objections? AUSA? No. Combs lawyer? No. Judge, page 2. I'm going to take it out of the references to the jury being the judge of the facts. We say that 3 times. Shapiro, we don't have anything until page 13. AUSA, same here. AUSA. On 13, the conspiracy, a person needs not know everyone else. AUSA. They don't have to have full knowledge of the RICO conspiracy, only that they agree to 2 predicate acts. Judge. Response? Shapiro. We object. That's not the argument I was making in Rule 29 as to Ms. Courtroom. Did she know the hotel rooms? Judge. I overruled the government's objection. I added language from the Sands treaties after the government's letter of last evening. Counsel Shapiro. We propose in line 21 that you add action should be considered as well. And this made the argument for Judge Lehman last year in the Bruce Garlick trial, pardon me. Judge. I think this instruction is clear enough for the jury. That being said, the defense can make arguments about the summation to their point. I rejected the defense suggestion on that point. Anything more on page 13? AUSA Schmeiser. I have one on page 12. Shapiro. What Ms. Schmeiser has referenced to is the nature of agreement, Judge. I think that's right. I overrule the objection on the government. Let's move to the next page, 14. Shapiro. On line 9, the government's markup of last night, not docketed. Page 15? Schmeiser. We have an objection to line 2 at the very top. It says the enterprise has to be the same throughout. We think it's confusing. In this particular case, where we speak of the inner circle versus the core, the chief of staff and security, Schmeiser. For example, our doc was security at the beginning, Fahim at the end. The same person doesn't have to stay in the position. Judge, what do you propose? AUSA. Some of the core of the enterprise has to be the same throughout. Judge, people are not core. So basically, it's the mindset of what he's trying to say. Now, I think the judge is basically going to say the same thing here. Let's see. Judge, this does not mean that every person has to be the same, but the core aspects have to be the same. Combs Driscoll. That might be inconsistent with Boyle. The Supreme Court case, Schmeiser, we could say the members of the organization can change. Judge, the danger is that the jury thinks that they have to make findings under each racketeering act. Shapiro, can you give me a minute? Meanwhile, Inner City Press dug up a previous U.S. draft of request to charge 100 pages. Yeah, okay. Judge, page 20. I have one thing to raise. Shapiro, Mr. Driscoll has reminded me of another suggestion we have. This comes from Ocasio. There we go. Ocasio versus U.S. You have to blame the Supreme Court, Driscoll. They have to prove the conspirators agreed to commit each element. Judge, give me the full sentence. Driscoll, on page 19, line 4, after the words actually occurred, you could add that each conspirator must be aware of each substantial racketeering offense. Schmeiser, we are not required to show that there was an ongoing federal investigation. The government is not required to prove that there was an ongoing federal case or investigation. Draft here. Judge, the statute has its elements. Using threat to hinder a complaint to law enforcement or a judge. Shapiro, there has to be a showing the victim intended to approach federal law enforcement, had knowledge of the federal aspect of the offense. Finally, something on swirling questions. Schmeiser, the government is not going to proceed on 1512C2, and we ask you not to instruct the jury on that. Judge, I assume there is no objection. Shapiro, certainly not. Schmeiser, on the forced labor, the government will be arguing that certain X acts can be labor. We will be building off of the R. Kelly case. The defense argues that the victims are well off. So we need to make this clear to the jury. Shapiro, we object. Shapiro, we are not arguing that X acts cannot be labor, rather that the victims here were not particularly vulnerable, like from other countries without immigration status. AUSA. And R. Kelly, the Second Circuit said X labor falls within the statute. Judge, I overruled the government's objection. Schmeiser, in closing, we will be making this argument. Judge, absolutely. X services can count as labor under statute. That's insane. That's crazy. Wow. I probably need to go read up on that R. Kelly case. What the Judge, just to move this along because it's getting late, I will add reference to the forced labor statute. On the other, I'm including a mens rea requirement and in light of vagueness challenge. Shapiro, we think that's sufficient. Judge, the government is going to argue full-throatedly that there was knowledge, mens rea. That means basically a guilty mind. Shapiro, this offense was not in the initial indictment. We are not required to object to the U.S.'s request to charge here. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Shapiro, if the government is now changing what they're going to argue with respect to the drugs, the jurors will notice it. It should be addressed. Judge, I agree. AUSA. And Wexel, the sentence about the buyer-seller exception, it should be construed narrowly. Shapiro, that's the context here. Judge, I'm going to reserve on this. The buyer-seller exception to conspiracy to distribute drugs. Judge, any objections on special sentencing factor? No. Judge, so counts 2 and 4 We're almost to the finish line. Shapiro. The court has added that there is no requirement that a X act be performed. We object. Shapiro. To wit clause of counts 2 and 4, the U.S. used that to trigger the 15-year minimum and to detain Mr. Combs. Alleged that these victims engaged in commercial X acts, as did the Enterprise letters. This would be a constructive amendment. Shapiro. On March 10th, Enterprise letters said they would only provide commercial X acts. Judge, the government is going to be arguing that commercial X acts occurred. What do we do here? AUSA. This is blown out of proportion. We're not bound by to wit causes. AUSA Schmeiser. There may be particular days the jury finds that the acts were not completed, like when Jane testified that an escort was sent away. That's why we proposed the instruction. We listed the dates in the Enterprise letter. Combs Shapiro. We're not conceding on the statute. The 15-year minimum only applies if it is triggered. A1 doesn't require force, fraud, or coercion necessarily. This is a due process issue. Attempt is already captured here. Combs Shapiro. This is very unfair, Judge. I am asking you for cases. We need to move on, Shapiro. I will email you cases, Judge. I don't need any further submissions. You'll have the final charge tonight, AUSA. There's no constructive amendment. AUSA Schmeiser. And in Intercontinental, there was a force and then no completed sex act. We charge it as sex trafficking. So they have been on notice, Shapiro. They maintained that Intercontinental, there was a freak off going on, a sex act. Judge, I'm going to take the paragraph out as argumentative. AUSA. I had some suggested edits. Jane and Cassie both said they did their first freak off to make their partner happy. That doesn't mean it can't later become sex trafficking. Combs Shapiro. The best solution is to delete. Judge, I'll remove it. AUSA. Initial consent does not preclude a finding of sex trafficking. Judge, I'll add that. Shapiro. Then add that initial acquiescence may be considered as to defendant's knowledge. Judge, we got to keep moving here. Shapiro. We need balancing language. Judge. That's the balancing language. Judge. I'm going to use the modified language I propose. Combs Driscoll. May I be heard? Judge. 10-minute recess. I need to think. So basically, what's going on here is they're basically trying to say, bruh, just because she said, all right, I'll sleep with all these men and I'll keep on sleeping with all these men. The moment she said, I'm tired of sleeping with all these men, they're trying to say it was forced after that. It's like, you do a thing 99 times, you say yeah, and the moment you say no, then you don't get to do it anymore because now you're technically forced to do it, which is illegal. 6:48 p.m., Judge. We're back on the record. I'm going to leave it. The parties are free to make their arguments in closing. Anything else? Combs Shapiro. The charge is supposed to capture that the defendant has to take step to avoid learning that coercion is used. Judge, I'm removing the sentence. Combs Shapiro. The next sentence too? Judge, no. That's a restatement. Shapiro. I just wanted to preserve my objection, Judge. Unanimity instruction, government, AUSA. As to at least one instance of sex trafficking. Judge, counts 3 and 5. Anything from U.S.? AUSA Schmeiser. Yes. We like it to refer to an act of prostitution. The person traveling does not have to be a commercial sex worker. Combs Shapiro. Those words aren't in a statute. Judge, I'm making a change. Wow. AUSA. A problem is the sentence about scrutinize closely, then use immunity given here, different from transactional immunity. They are not trying to win their own freedom by helping to convict another. AUSA. And on implicit bias, we propose that it be shorter. At line 15, it draws attention to bias and may increase tensions among the jurors. Judge, I'll remove that. AUSA. 2 cases to put on the record. US 554 F3D 230 2D Circuit, or we can say Second Circuit 2008, and 316 F App 54. Combs Shapiro. We prefer that the word government not be capitalized, Judge. So it's government, find and replace. Combs Shapiro. To avoid the problem of headings misleading jurors, let's cut them. Plus, I want to preserve this. We incorporate in all our filings. Judge, anything further? No. Judge, we will get you the final charge tonight. See you tomorrow morning. Combs Shapiro. For Mr. Agnifilo, he doesn't believe he will take more than 3 hours, but he preferred to start Friday morning if the rebuttal is an hour. AUSA. We objected. It would waste the jury's time to come in for a partial day. July 4th is looming. Combs Shapiro. He could shorten it if it were Friday. Judge. Ending early Thursday would run us up against July 4th. Combs Shapiro. Mr. Agnifilo is lead counsel and would prefer to do it this way. AUSA. We are concerning this is gamesmanship. to give them more time to consider our summation. Shapiro, we think jurors are tired after lunch, which, I mean, after you eat, you typically are. Judge, the defense is making an application. I think it's fine for Mr. Agnifilo to start on Friday morning. AUSA, you can start later. AUSA, for Ms. Slavic, 10 a.m., 2 hours, lunch in 2 more hours. Judge, fine. Adjourned. I ain't gonna hold you, bruh. This gets more confusing as the day goes on, as the day is long, like they like to say. So, in one instance, we're looking at Diddy like, bruh, you done messed up. We done been told all these lies. Y'all done had people come out and say so many things about this, man. If y'all wondering what I'm doing, I'm actually checking to see if this email has dropped, and it hasn't. So, basically, bruh, I don't understand how this crap goes. We're more confused now than ever. We were told so many lies. We were enamored with so many things about what's true, what's not true, who we gonna mess with as far as the celebrities that slept with him, the celebrities that he hurt, the celebrities this, the celebrities that we were duped into believing all of these things, and none of this stuff happened. Let me ask y'all a simple question. Do you think Kid Cudi would be a bigger name than all these other people y'all said they were getting hit? Like, wouldn't Meek Mill have popped up? Wouldn't, what's the pastor, T.D. Jakes have popped up? Wouldn't all these people who y'all claim were getting smashed and slept with and all this stuff? The feds went through everything. Every freaking thing. Now, some of y'all will combat it and say, well, Kid Cudi's car was mentioned in the lawsuit with Cassie. To that, I say you'd be correct on that. So are we going basically off of Cassie's lawsuit? No. Some of that stuff that came out basically said that, oh, the baby oil, it had drugs in it. You pass out with your butt in the air, and next thing you know, Pound Town just left Pound Town. Yeah, that's what y'all said were happening. So it's crazy in certain instances how nasty, how freaky this dude is, because it turned out to be a one-man wrecking crew with male workers. Then we got to look at it for what it is. This is an entirely different alternative lifestyle that I don't think any one of y'all watching, including myself, can even begin to grasp as to why. I don't know, bro. I truly could never grasp a mindset like this. Some part of this tells me that as a kid, he must have been touched on or seen something and became enamored with this stuff, because something is wrong with this. But is it illegal versus immoral? Some of you people who get on here, and I get it, you'll say things like this: Setting ass, you're flip-flopping. With new evidence, would you change your mind or not? If you were driving down the road and you didn't see 10 miles down the road was a brick wall, would you continue going and play? No, you'd stop and turn around or go around the wall. See, you have to look at it this way. We're going off of what the prosecution is trying to present to make him guilty. Then when it switches out for the defense, then we go and we do that. If you don't understand that, then you have to be stupid. And please leave my page and never return. This page is not for intellectually stupid individuals. This page is dedicated to those who can think outside of the box, come here and argue your thinking outside of the box, not you fucking idiots who think that because you believe this, that it couldn't change down the line. With new evidence, new ideas, new theories. You fucking idiot. Because it's like 10 people a day say this stupid shit. And it's getting to the point where it's like, are you stupid or are you dumb? If you had a kid and you believe that your kid did something that was so egregious, and then later on you found out that your kid actually didn't do that, will you still keep punishing your kid? Or will you go, my bad, hey, I accuse you of the wrong thing? The fuck wrong with you idiots? Please get the fuck out of here. But back to it. Sorry for cussing. I really am. It's freaking 1:33 in the morning. 2 o'clock on the East Coast. But anyways, So we look at this stuff and we sit back and try to figure it all out as far as what did he do? What didn't he do? We're more mixed up and confused at the end than what we thought. What we were painted was this. Diddy been hitting people without their instructions, paying all these dudes to come in and sleep with him. He actually was busting cheeks and stuff too. Jane said that, she believes that he's bi. I keep telling y'all this. I don't care what a man does, what a woman does with their stuff. Just don't hit kids, meaning don't sleep with kids, don't sleep with animals, and don't forcibly put yourself on people and take away their innocence. That's all I ask. Other than that, bro, I don't think the government has proven what they think they've proven. But in closing arguments, they may be able to wrap it all up. In closing arguments, once again, for the people who are going to say, well, Sadie Dash, you changed your mind on the closing argument. No, we're going to grade the closing argument. Do they get an A or do they get an F? The same stuff you got in grade school. If I think they did a great job, then so be it. If I think they've proven their point, then so be it. But it also can come back to the next day that, hey, prosecution, they actually killed it as well. Now it's more confusion. Now it gets to, who do you believe? But hey, man, who knows, man? We don't know. All we want to do is figure it all out as well. But please post your thoughts. Are you convinced? Do you believe that the feds have actually proven their point? Or do you think that the feds have not proven their point? What do you predict is going to happen? Now, obviously, you can change your prediction here when these closing arguments come out. I believe how they want to do it. What's today? Today is actually Thursday. So the prosecution will go up. Then the defense will go up on Friday. And leave it just like that. Y'all let me know your thoughts on this, man. Share to keep your people aware. Subscribe, turn that bell, stay notified. Can we get 7K likes this early morning? I think this is stuff y'all actually like, so y'all can wake up to it with it in the algorithm. Please do your part from the heart. Hit that like button. I'll catch you on the next one. Wait. Did Boosie actually admit that the feds is on his heel in an Instagram post a couple of days ago? Man, I think it's click right here. Hit that playlist. Y'all catch up.